Hello Star Citizens, Buzzkiller here, and welcome to another episode of Week in Review. Now this week, the week of May 4th, 2015, has been yet another busy one for Star Citizen. We've seen several new posts, including an update to FPS, a new minigame to play, a new ship, and even a new patch. So, without further ado, let's get started. We kicked off Monday with our usual 10-4 episode, and this week was a special 10 for the Producers, or 10 for the Producer, episode, where Travis Day answered 10 questions from the subscribers about the upcoming FPS module. Tuesday we had another Meet the Devs with James Pugh, and this week he interviewed John Schimmel. Now John's the head of linear development over in CIG Santa Monica, and he's been with Chris Roberts for a while now. He's actually worked with them while he was directing movies. While working at CIG, he's been the one that did a lot of the development and the directing of the ship commercials. On Wednesday, Mark Abent kicked off his solo career with his first solo episode of Bug Smashers. And also, if you're a subscriber, you got a new Vault update in which they take a look at the development of the RSI helmet. On Thursday, they released episode 43 of Around the Verse. And in news from Around the Verse, Santa Monica talked a little bit about the upcoming repair mechanic that they've been working on. Now the repair mechanic has to do with refixing your ship in flight and out of flight. They talked about how some things may be able to be fixed electronically, or some things may require manual intervention. For instance, you may have to go to a certain place in the ship and actually fix something using tools or replace components. And they talked about how this would also tie into the automated repair bot, which was one of the stretch goals. Next up, they told us a little bit about the electronic warfare system. With the electronic warfare system, if your ship is equipped and you have a dedicated crew member to run it, you'll be able to do things like knock out enemy ships' thrusters, shut down their systems, spoof their radars. So it's likely going to be some kind of dedicated mini-game where you actually have to hack into their ship and perform those types of actions. And then they talked a little bit about the upcoming new starter ship, the Misk Reliant, which is the one we voted for. It's the two-person starter ship. Over at Ilphonic, they talked a little bit about the upcoming FPS module and what they've been working on. And they've been working on a lot of network optimizations. They're trying to increase the player count in the maps in the future and also give us a much smoother play experience in multiplayer. Moving to Austin, they talked also about the FPS module, but they talked about the character designs. Currently the characters are going through their final polishes and they've made a lot of updates and changes, which we'll go over later in this video. And finally, in the UK, they talked a little bit about the tutorial and some of the fixes they've done to the tutorial since it was first released on the PTU. In the new Ship Shape segment, Lisa Ohanian gave us a sneak peek at some of the work they've been doing on the Constellation series. They've showed us a lot of exterior shots of the Constellation and some of the changes they've made to make it more in line with the RSI style. They also showed us some of the improvements they're making to the interior, including adding a bulkhead between the ship's bridge and the living area. So it looks like it's going to be a really cool ship once they finish it. I can't wait to see it. And finally, they left us with not one, but two sneak peeks this week. The first one was the Starfarer And the second one, which actually showed up after the ending credits, was of the heavy armor, the heavy outlaw armor, for the FPS module. And apparently, future pirates really dig Katy Perry. Also on Thursday, they released the new Alpha 1.1.2 patch to the live servers. And in that patch, of course, the big thing is the new tutorial. They also made a few multiplayer fixes, and they actually increased rec in all the game modes except for racing. On Friday, things got really busy. We started off with their new subscriber flare, which is basically a space rock. It's part of a new series, and excuse me if I get this wrong, but I believe it's Pulisi collection, that is oddities from around the verse, collectibles, and it comes in a pretty neat display case with a little bit of the lore attached to it. So if you're a subscriber, this should be in your hangar now.
Vanguard Force.
And next up we have Hyper Vanguard Force. Hyper Vanguard Force is a new mini-game released by the Turbulent office in Montreal, and it's basically a retro 8-bit shoot-'em-up game. In it you play as Meredith, who's a Vanguard pilot, who's trying to reclaim her stolen Vanguard Taigatsu model from the evil pirate Balthazar. It's a pretty interesting little story there. It's a neat nod to the old 8-bit games. It has 3 levels. In each level you can gain 3 achievements. The first being just simple mission completion. The second being killing every ship in that level. And finally, you get another achievement for completing level with full health. And once you get all 3 of these achievements on a level, you unlock that level in Hyper Pink mode, which is basically the same level moving a lot faster. During the course of the game, you collect little items that give you points towards upgrading your ship, and you can upgrade things like your hull, your shields, your weapons, your missiles, making the game easier as it goes along. It's a really cool, neat little game, and I spent countless hours just playing around with it. If you haven't seen it, I suggest you try it out. Also on Friday, we got the much anticipated Star Marine FPS update. Now this post was initially scheduled to come out on Wednesday, but due to unfinished art and videos that they're putting together for the game, or for this post, it got delayed to Friday. And in it they kind of discuss why the FPS module is going to be so late. They talk a lot about the armors themselves for the FPS characters and how they've increased the fidelity of them over the past couple of months. And they talk about the animations and specifically some of the mocap stuff they've been doing for the animations, and also some balancing where they actually changed how the characters move, so give them some weight. With a system they're calling juking. Basically, unlike other FPS games where you can just change directions at will with, basically you're strafing left, you can instantly go from strafing left to strafing right. In Star Citizen, that's not going to happen. You're going to have these little animations that show, okay, you've got to stop going right, and then start moving left. So it's going to take some time. It actually makes it a little more strategic and realistic. They also upgraded some of the lighting in the levels, so they've gone to a new lighting system, which really improves the look, especially of the Astro Arena. So hopefully it'll be done pretty soon, and we'll be able to get our hands on it in the near future. And last, but definitely not least, we have the Starfarer. So the Starfarer is back in the Pledge store for another week. And they've also released the military variant of the Starfarer. Now, the difference between the Starfarer and the military Starfarer, also known as the Gemini, is the Starfarer Gemini has a more robust weapon system, and it's going to have bigger shields, it's going to have better engines, and a better power plant. But it does lose the capability of scooping fuel from a gas giant, and it replaces that with a missile pod. Now, of course, you can replace the missile pod back with the fuel scoop, and you can put that same missile pod on the standard Starfarer as well. So the standard Starfarer is for sale in the store right now for $195, which is a little bit more than what it was before. And that comes with 24 months of insurance and the VFG industrial hangar. Now the Gemini is going for $240, but that includes LTI, since this is the first time they've released this particular ship. Now I'm not sure exactly why they've given it LTI. Usually that's reserved for concept sales, but they're saying that since this ship was built from the ground up for the military, it's basically a new ship. But, I mean, whatever. LTI is not going to be that important in the real game anyway. Well, Star Citizens, that about wraps up this episode of Week in Review. I hope you found it informative. Now, next week, unfortunately, I am going on a bit of a trip for work. I'll be gone for about 3 weeks, so I may not be able to release too many videos during that time. But rest assured, when I get back, I'll get back into the swing of things and give you guys the latest news with the Star Citizen universe. And again, I hope you enjoyed this video, or at least found it informative. If you did, go ahead and hit that like or subscribe button. And once again, this has been Buzzkiller, and until next time, I will see you guys in the verse.